Wind blows through the forest clearing. Neither the howling that shook the ground nor the blows that cut the air remain now.
それが貴様の剣か、セイバー。
Who's speaking here? The undefeatable giant becomes motionless and says so in a deep voice, gazing at the knight that defeated him. Oh, it's the first time that Berserker speaks.
これはカリバーン。王を選定する岩の剣。永遠に失われた私の剣ですが。
今のは貴様の剣ではなかろう。それはその男が作り上げた幻想に過ぎん。
Saber nods quietly.
所詮はまがいもの。二度とは存在せぬ剣だ。だが。
Berserker's chest splits open. Slowly. From the wound made by that light he crumbles away like sand.
その幻想も侮れぬ。よもやただの一撃でこの身を七度滅ぼすとはな。
He puts no emotion into his dying words. The mad warrior follows his role until the very end, and his existence disperses as if fading into the air. I feel dizzy. It must be the cause of using such excessive magic. My blood that ran wild is crushing my brain with too much oxygen. And on top of that, I have a headache like my head is splitting open. It's because the enemy has disappeared and the thing numbing my pain has disappeared. The dizziness and the headache come at me as if to make up for what has accumulated.
シロ、
Saber supports my collapsing body. But she can't have any energy to spare to care for me.
いや、大丈夫だ。ところどころ骨が折れてるけど、命には別状はない。例の自然治癒も働いてるし、なんとかなる。
何を言うのです。あれだけの投影魔術を使ったのですから、今は休息を取らないと。
いや、けど。
There's someone I have to talk to first.
イリアスフィール。
Saber prepares herself. Ilya is staring at the place where Berserker used to be with empty eyes.
ちょうどいい。何のつもりかは知りませんが、追う手間が省けました。潔く、ここで。
ダメだ、セイバー。イリアには手を出さないでくれ。バーサーカーがいなくなったんなら、イリアは。
I stop Saber with my remaining strength. She must not realize we are here. Staring at the ground, Ilya murmurs.
嘘。バーサーカー。死んじゃったの。
She sounds like an abandoned child.
イリア。
I restrain Saber with my hand and quietly call out to her. She must have noticed me from that. Ilya slightly raises her head and... suddenly falls to the ground like a doll being switched off. I don't know what's going on. I just stare at the girl on the ground. As if to replace her, Tosaka gets up. Berserker's hand has disappeared and it seems she's finally free. I must have relaxed seeing Tosaka's safety. I feel like I'm about to faint. But I can't whine like that. Even though we defeated Berserker, we are still in the forest. We have to push our wounded bodies and get out of this forest now. I look up at the dawning sky. The town is far away and I cannot find any uninjured allies nor any place on my own body that's not hurt. But still we made it to the morning. The night I was prepared not to live through. After driving off the greatest enemy, we leave the winter forest. Interval level 4. The sky is thin. Is it dawn or dusk? As I am watching from outside, I cannot tell. A vast sky and a high field. A sky that seems unreachable, even with arms outstretched. And clouds that do seem reachable with arms outstretched. This is a battle she once went through. There are no cavalry alongside. The grassland, once golden as far as the eye could see, is gone. Under the dark grey sky, the only thing stretching out is the remains of battle which she is well accustomed to. There is no emotion. For her, such scenes must have been ordinary. There is nothing left in her lonely heart. Leaning on her golden sword, she breathes deeply once and slowly relaxes her shoulders. The battle must be over. After glancing at the bodies of the defeated soldiers, she returns to her camp. That was the battle she experienced. The calm attitude is the same as now. No matter what trouble she's in, she's just as I know her. And in that way I see the dream of a king. From the moment she drew the sword from the stone, she was not human. After becoming a feudal lord like her father, she became a king with many knights. She was called King Arthur, or Arturia, and the girl who had tried to become a knight had her life turned around. She acted as the son of the king. That is because the one to govern many territories and control the knights had to be male. The only ones who knew that the king was just a girl were her father and the magus. She literally covered herself in steel and sealed the truth for all her life. Of course, it's not like no one grew suspicious of her. But the king of knights with the holy sword will not suffer wounds or age. Excalibur bears the protection of the fairies, making its possessor immortal. Therefore, nobody questioned the knight's small body, and the face that seemed like that of a girl became honored by the knights as a good-looking king. Of course, such things were not a problem. The king was truly invincible. There was no room for body size nor looks to enter into it. The people living in fear of savage invasions wanted a strong king, and the knights of the battlefield would only follow an excellent commander. The king met all of these criteria, and so no one questioned who the king was. It doesn't matter if the king is a child or a woman. The only point is that it must function as the king to protect the country. The new king was fair and selfless and always stood in front of the army, defeating enemies on the battlefield. Many enemies and many people died, but the king's choices were always correct, and she served as the king better than anyone else. There was no doubt and no need for doubt while the king was right. Knowing no loss on the battlefield, her army reconstructed the now lost cavalry and literally ran through the battlefield, defeating foreign infantries and crashing through numerous ramparts. Was she always in the front of the army because her country was behind her? She had to discard many people to join battle. As long as she joined battle, she had to defeat all her enemies. It was normal practice to meet military needs by sucking everything out of the local village for the battle to protect the country. In that regard, there could not be any knights that killed more people than her. I do not know if she ever found that a burden. That is not something I can tell from a dream. But there is no doubt on her figure running through the battlefield. She does not even narrow her eyes in grief when she sits on the throne. A king is not human. One cannot protect the people with human emotions. She kept that oath strictly. She settled every problem and worked hard in government affairs. She balanced the country without any deviations and punished people without a single mistake. And after ending yet another battle and victory, commanding the people without disorder and punishing hundreds of criminals, King Arthur does not understand human feelings. A knight close to her murmured. Perhaps everyone felt that way. The more perfect she became as the king, the more they questioned her as a ruler. A person without human emotion cannot rule over others. Several reputable knights left Camelot, but the king took it as a natural event and accepted it as part of the process of government. Thus the fair king, honored by her knights, isolated herself. But such trivial things are of no concern to a king. Her mind will not change even if she is abandoned, feared or betrayed. There is no right or wrong. She abandoned her emotions from the moment she decided to pull out the sword. And in that way, her final battle began. The battle at Badon Hill ended in a complete victory, and because of the overwhelming results, the savages sought a reconciliation. The country that would have just awaited destruction earned a brief period of peace. The chaos that demanded an absolute hero has ended. Britain is finally returning to the country she has dreamed of. The scene starts to fade away. Somewhere in my head I realize that I am waking up and the dream is ending. I will lose consciousness and wake up soon. But before that, something really annoys me. She's stupid. Certainly she must have been strong and good at fighting, but that doesn't mean she's well suited for it. I'm also angry at the people around her. If she didn't notice it, someone else around her had to tell her, or she'd keep making the same mistake forever. Geez, she had so many people around her, so why did none of them tell her the truth? Because of fear? Who knows? I wake up. We escaped Ilia's forest and came back to this house yesterday afternoon. Tosaka went back to her room saying that the wound in her stomach was hurting, and I also wanted to go to sleep since my headache was still around. It must also have been because I carried something heavy all the way here. When I got to my room and lay down, I couldn't even get back up. Saber was the only one unhurt, so Tosaka and I went to sleep, letting her keep watch over the house and...
半日眠ってたわけか。さすがに頭痛は収まってるな。
I'm relieved. The thing with Berserker. The headache that started when I duplicated Saber's sword was terrible. If that headache continued, my head would have broken before my body did. Wait. Saber is sitting Japanese style beside my futon.
なんだよ。朝から辛気臭い顔して。俺が眠ってる間に何かあったのか？
いいえ、ただ夢を見てしまったもので。
I wonder if she had the same dream as Ishiro.
いえ、なんでもありません。それより朝食にしましょう、シロ。もう起きる時間です。
Saber gets up and leaves the room quietly. I don't know why Saber is acting so weird. I don't know, but...
枕元に正座してたってことは、看病しててくれたのかな？
As soon as I think so, I recall the scene I really shouldn't remember.
何考えてんだ？
I shake my head and clear the thoughts out of my head. I did it with Saber because I'm her master. I have to think like that or I won't be able to look at her properly. What's that? And the situation was that bad and Tosaka did it too. Hold on. This won't end if I start being conscious of Tosaka too.
平常心。昨日帰ってくるときはいつも通りだったじゃないか。それでいいんだ。それで。
Well, no, I was just too tired yesterday, but stay calm anyways. First of all, Saber will be troubled if I act like this.
よし。とにかく落ち着いて朝飯作らないと。
I take a deep breath and start changing. It's 9 in the morning. Saber must be really hungry as we haven't eaten since yesterday afternoon. I guess you can't call it morning now that it's past 9. You can still call it morning. Considering Saber, I'll make a fairly large meal.
シロ、今朝は私とあなただけですが、リンを起こさなくていいのですか？
ああ、みんなまだ寝てるんだろ？
They?
昨日が昨日だし、無理に起こすこともない。
Them?
飯は作っておけば勝手に食べるだろうし。
そうですか。それでは早めに支度をしてもらえると助かります。もうこんな時間になってしまいましたから。
分かってる。体の調子もいいし、食べ終わったら道場に行こ
う。道場に行くとは、まだ私と剣の鍛錬を続けるのですか？
なんで？日課じゃないか、あれ。どうしたそういえば。なんか変なこと言ったか？
あ、いえ。もう鍛錬はしないのだろうと勝手に思い込んでいました。バーサーカーが倒れた今、シローがそこまで必死になる理由はなくなったのではないかと。
But the war is not over yet.
そっか。言われてみればそうかもしれない。
Tosaka and Saber and I, our common enemy, is now gone. We cooperated because we were targeted by an enemy superior to us, and that's why I trained as well.
でも鍛錬は続けるぞ。俺はまだ半人前だし、セイバーは剣を持つと本音を出すからな。その方が俺も話してて楽だ。
Well, when I say it's a help, I mean it's fun.
はあ。 道場での私は本音を出しているのでしょうか。
出してるよ。少なくとも気兼ねはしてないだろう。俺もその方が楽だし、セイバーも肩の力が抜けていいんじゃないか。ともかく午前中はセイバーと剣を合わせるのが日課なんだ。数少ない俺の楽しみを取らないでくれ。
I take ground beef and pork, mushroom, onion, and eggs out of the refrigerator and head to the kitchen. I also need bread, crumbs, alcohol, salad oil, and... What do you need alcohol for?
はあ、そういうことでしたら私も反論はありませんが。
Saber murmurs something in the living room. I'm already in the kitchen, so I unfortunately couldn't hear her. I start mixing. I mix onion, breadcrumbs, alcohol, egg and salt and put it in with the beef and pork. I have decided to cook Japanese-style hamburger for breakfast.
リン、目が覚めたのですか？
I can hear Saber's voice from the living room.
遠坂？
I turn around while cooking.
おはよう。ごめん、牛乳飲ませて、シロ。
Tosaka comes over with an unhappy face and takes some milk out of the refrigerator.
寝すぎて頭痛い。あれ？何？朝から凝ってるじゃない。
Where did that bad mood from earlier go? Tosaka Rin's eyes gleam as soon as she turns to me.
へえ、美味しそう。ちょうどお腹も減ってたし、助かったわ。
I see, but you are the one that benefits, not me. This must be what my father said. For someone to benefit, someone must lose.
前から思ってたんだが、お前割と目ざといよな。
あら、人並みに目端が利くだけよ。それじゃあ、私の分もよろしくね。
Waving her hand, Tosaka returns to the living room. With a glass of milk in one hand, she takes position at the table. No. Should I say she's really relaxing or acting like royalty?
だらけていますね、リン。
Alright, way to go, Saber. She sure is good at saying difficult things. But... Tosaka waves off Saber's criticism lazily like she doesn't care.
そりゃだらけもするわよ。バーサーカーがいなくなった今、あとはキャスターとランサーとアサシンでしょ。バーサーカーに比べたら大した敵じゃないし、今のセーバーなら余裕で撃退できるじゃない。
それはわかりません。ランサーもアサシンも一筋縄で行く相手ではない。キャスターに至ってはまだ出会ってもいないではないですか。
謙遜謙遜。アーサー王の手にかかっちゃそんじゃそこらの英霊なんて十羽一からげでしょ。今までは魔力不足で嘆いてたけど、それも解決したし、今のセイバーに対抗できるサーバントなんて一人もいないわ。
Saber narrows her eyes at Tosaka's words. I feel the same way. The thing Tosaka just said can't be ignored lightly.
遠坂、お前セイバーが誰かって気づいてたのか。
うすうすね。確信が持てたのは昨日よ。あれだけの政権を扱える英雄なんて一人しかいないもの。まあ伝説のアーサー王が女の子っていうのには驚いたけど、目の前にいるんじゃ信じるしかないじゃない。それに伝説なんて都合よく改ざんされたものでしょ。セイバーが隠したのか周囲が隠したのか知らないけど、確かに中世の王様が女の子ってのは都合が悪いものね。そりゃ誰が何と言おうと男として扱うわよ。
Tosaka has the same tone of voice as always. Saber doesn't seem to care that much either. She rather seems to be agreeing with Tosaka's opinion and shows no sign of denying anything. So she has clearly admitted that it's true. A hero related to swords is chosen for the servant Saber. From that perspective, she is certainly the best Saber there could be. The great hero of England, the bearer of the holy sword that everybody, even in this distant country, has heard of. But if that's the case, then what? The end of the legend of King Arthur ends with the king's death. No, they are still human even though they are heroes. It's only natural for their last moment to end in death, but no hero dies normally. King Arthur was no exception. I remember that the end of King Arthur was in a war, the great battle of Camlan. Having unified Britain and with no outside enemies to defeat, King Arthur faced an unexpected enemy in the end. The enemy was her own army that she protected. Because of a betrayal by the ones she trusted, King Arthur was attacked by the knights she had fought with, and it is said that the king had to defeat them. King Arthur succeeded in defeating the enemy leader, but took a fatal wound in the process, and entrusted her only surviving knight, Sir Bedivere, with the return of the Holy Sword. Go past this bloody battlefield and the hill. There should be a lake there. Throw the sword into that lake. But Bedivere could not follow the order. Fearing the loss of the sword, Bedivere gave a false report the first and the second time, saying that he had thrown the sword into the lake. Every time King Arthur would order Bedivere to throw the sword away, and the order was followed on the third trip. And it is said that King Arthur died after ascertaining that the Holy Sword had been returned.
それよりシロ、あんたこれからどうする気よ。
And then, Tosaka suddenly glares at me.
どうするって何をだよ。
だから和室で寝てる物騒な子供のことよ。放っておけって言ったのに、ここまで連れてきたのはあんたじゃない。
I guess they're talking about Ilya, Well, they couldn't just leave her lying there, I guess. That would have been mean.
それについては私も言いたい。バーサーカーを失ったとはいえ、イリアスフィールは危険なマスターだ。それを保護するなど、シロはどうかしています。
そうそう。あんなのは綺麗に預けちまえばいいのよ。
The two judge this a good time and glare at me together. That's right. Ilya fainted after Berserker disappeared. I couldn't just leave her be since she showed no sign of waking up, so I brought her here. Tosaka and Saber objected, so I was the one who carried her. A master who loses their servant has to run away or go to the church for protection before they're killed by other masters. Tosaka says we should let Kotomine take care of her, but I'm letting her sleep in a room here since I don't think he would take very good care of her.
シロ、あなたの考えは立派ですが、イリアスフィールに関わるのは危険です。今ならまだ間に合う。早々に教会に預けるか、その令状を剥奪するべきだ。
Saber glares at me. She's serious. Convincing her will be really difficult.
なんだよ。だってほっとくわけにはいかないだろう。
Yeah.
イリアはまだ子供なんだし。
But at least 18 years old.
コトミネに預けるのはなんかかわいそうだし。
I actually checked it the other day and she really is supposed to be 18 years old.
かわいそう。あんたね、あの子にあんな目に遭わされて、まだそんな寝ぼけたこと言うわけ？
同感です。シローはイリアスフィールに感情移入しすぎています。彼女は何度もシローを殺そうとしたではないですか。
The two are even more united now, but I can't let them talk me out of it.
確かにイリアは敵だった。けど、あいつに邪気はなかった。ちゃんと言いつけてやる奴がいれば、イリアはもうあんなことはしない。それに、一番初めに言ったはずだ。俺はマスターを殺すために戦うんじゃない。戦いを終わらせるために戦うだけだって。
それは分かってはいますが。
Saber doesn't agree, but her voice softens. But
そう。それじゃあイリアスフィールのしたことを全部許すっていうの？言っとくけど、あの子は私たち以外のマスターも襲っている。もしかしたらもう何人かマスターを殺しているかもしれない。それでもあなたは助けてやるっていうのね。
それは。
that's right. Ilya admitted it. She killed Shinji. Shinji used Ryder to try to kill the students at school. If those were his intentions as a master, I guess his death couldn't be helped. But still, Shinji is a friend I have known for years, and thinking about his sister Sakura, I can't forgive everything Ilya did.
けど、それじゃ終わりがないだろ。イリアがマスターで亡くなって、自分のしたことを悔やめるようになるのなら、俺は助けるべきだと思う。
そうね。それは正しい。けどシロー、私はアーチャーのことを帳消しにする気はないの。私のアーチャーはあいつに殺されたんだから。
Everybody freezes. We freeze looking at each other. And...
何よ、
oh, there she is.
サーバントなんて最後にはみんな消えちゃうじゃない。そんなこと気にしてるなんて、マスター失格ね。
The girl on the discussion who should be asleep appears.
イリアスフィール。
待ちなさい。あなたたちに用はないわ。戦う気もないから、そんなに切り立たないでくれない？ほんと、同じレディーとして恥ずかしいわ。私よりずっと年上なのに、
Are they
た
though?
しなみってものがないんだから。
Ilya shrugs her shoulders as if to show her shock.
なんですって？
Saber and Tosaka get mad together. They are scarier in a different sense.
まあ、それも怒らないであげる。今はあなたたちに構ってる場合じゃないもの。
Saying that, Ilya turns to me. Is this an illusion? Ilya pinches the end of her skirt in a polite manner and bows to me respectfully.
エリア。
礼を言います、セイバーのマスター。敵であった我が身まで気遣うその心遣い、心より感謝いたしますわ。
I stare at Ilya in surprise. Saber is silent as well, so she might not have expected it either. Tosaka's drinking milk and looking at Ilya suspiciously. And then, Ilya gives her usual smile and...
なんてね。やっぱりシロはお兄ちゃんだ。
She comes straight for me and hugs my neck. I choke at the surprise attack.
何者？
Tosaka is choking on the milk she's drinking. Saber gets mad but keeps a straight face.
離れなさい、この無礼者。
What, are you jealous? Saber runs to me, but Ilya spins around behind me using my neck as a fulcrum.
無礼者はどっちよ。サーバントのくせに私に意見しようなんて100年早いわ。
あなたに従う義務もなければ意思もありません。減らず口を言う暇があるなら、今すぐ城から離れなさい。
そんなの聞かないよーだ。ねえシロ、昨日みたいにしよう。あれ、本部って言うんだよね。
Ilya twirls and twirls. Saber goes around to try to catch her. This is bad. This is really bad. The two stare down doesn't end. It must be because she's watching from a distance. Tosaka wipes the milk off her mouth as if nothing is happening, and she says in a disinterested manner,
どうでもいいんだけどね、二人とも。そのままだと、そいつ死ぬわよ。え？
The two look at my face in surprise. Yes, my neck is being choked and my life is in danger. I'm in a real pinch right now. Well, let's check the current situation, but we will do that next time on Fate Stay Night. Thanks for watching, and until then, goodbye.